No, thank you, Jason, for being with us.
I'm happy to be here.
So first of all, what's going to happen? What's going to be the reaction of the markets after the ECB starts raising rates?
I think you're going to see a fairly muted reaction. I think people anticipate raising rates. Usually when the governments, or certainly the treasuries of the related governments, telegraph these moves, the market tends to absorb them over time, so by the time the actual event takes place, it's really a non-event unless they raise rates or lower rates above and beyond outside the expected range.
So when do you think, when it's the Fed going to start raising rates? Because the Q2, it's going to end next June. What's going to happen next?
I'd imagine sometime in the fall. But if the economy doesn't really heat up, there's really no reason to raise interest rates because we won't see any inflation. I guess there's the fear that we'll see some form of deflation. But right now, the U.S. Fed has been very, again, they telegraph what they're going to do. QE2, as you just mentioned, is going to be that will end in June. If things aren't going as planned, the government has plenty of time to decide what they want to do. And I think probably by the end of Q4, we will see raising rates here in the States.
And do you think that this bullish rally that we've been seeing for the first quarter of this year, it's going to continue towards the year end, or at some point there's going to happen something that it's going to halt that?
I would say this, that had you told me at the beginning of the year that we would see the Middle East blowing up, we would see the tsunami in Japan, we would see the continued European meltdown of the several countries that can't get their debt crisis under control, I would say that the market would have been at 7,500. The Dow would be at 7,500 today. The fact that we are up from these levels would only suggest to me that once things start to improve or improve dramatically, the market is going to rip. So by year's end, I think the market's a lot higher.
And also, we're heading towards the first earnings season. What are we going to see?
I think continued success that we saw in Q1, or rather Q4 of last year. I think earnings will be great. I think companies have their expenses in line, and I think they're really able to focus on R&D. And obviously, through a lot of the mergers and acquisitions that we've witnessed over the last 2 quarters, a lot of earnings has become driven by not necessarily organic growth, but by streamlining the expense side of business, finding synergies within different companies.
And also, how is the market bearing with the high oil prices?
I think it's a little leery of that. I think that weighs on the economic outcome, but I think that as long as people realize that the pricing is a mechanism of speculators, not necessarily physical demand, that'll come back in line like it did several years ago.
And just a last question, what do you think about the offer made by the NASDAQ IEC last week?
Well, I like anything else, cash is king, and whoever's willing to pay the highest price as a shareholder, that's who makes the most sense for it. Now, if a shareholder wants something long-term versus short-term, there's different variables there. But I would say that since Deutsche Börse first made a bid, the stock is up over 30%, essentially, or the takeover price that NASDAQ has made is up 30% from where the stock was trading pre the Deutsche Börse bid. Who knows where it ends? Usually these people don't fire all their bullets in the first shot. I imagine that we're going to see a counter bid and another counter bid. So I think we're far from over.
Okay. So thank you very much, Jason, for your time.